Is it live?
It's starting the preview. Loading.
Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reich of Crime Talk. Thank you for waiting. I apologize. I'm a few minutes late. I was meeting with a new client this morning, and it took a little longer than expected. So, we are here waiting to see if you all are getting me because I'm not seeing it here on my YouTube just yet. It says offline. Are we sure we're streaming? All right. Well, let's try this one more. All right. So we're back, I guess, apparently. All right. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reich of Crime Talk. As always, there's always seems to be something going on with technical issues, but we think we have got it. Anyway, so here we are, Saturday morning, live on Crime Talk. I want to talk about a couple of things that are going on in the world. The first one is, and I know some people are tired of Chris Watts, but this story, I'm telling you, there's just something about it that has intrigued everyone out there. This is the case, as we all know, or most people know that follow this channel, is that Chris Watts pled guilty to killing his wife, Shanann, and his two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, and his unborn child. And he pled guilty, but it really didn't leave a whole lot of, I don't want to use the word closure, but what it really left people with is it kind of ended too quickly. And a lot of people just didn't get the answers that they wanted of how things happened, a timeline, a scenario. And then the FBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and Frederick Police Department go up and see Chris Watts up in Wisconsin. And if we've got all of those audio recordings, there's 4 of them broken down on our page here. And if you listen to those, I mean, some stuff you think, well, that makes sense, that's consistent. Other things you think, man, this guy is just not telling the truth. He's just not truthful at all. It doesn't make any sense. And I still think, just like his original interview with the detectives when they do the interrogation of him, and he just crumbles, but yet he throws things out there. For example, when he said that they asked if Shanann had perhaps harmed the children, and he kind of went with that. And as in the interviews that he did in Wisconsin about a month and a half ago, Watts basically says, yeah, I had never even thought of that. I just kind of went with it and, kind of played it from there. And so he's kind of an opportunist for that. But it's also evident, and I think it's about second recording of the videos where he says that he talks to his children and his wife every night, and he feels absolutely terrible, and that he has copies of photographs of his children and his wife in his cell. And I actually had somebody contact me from one of our viewers and asked if there was a petition. I'm like, I don't think you can do much with a petition. I'm not a big petition kind of guy, but apparently it's working. I think some 5,000 people now have signed the petition to make sure Chris Watts does not have photos of his family in his cell. Now, the thing that's interesting about that is that most, if Watts had stayed in the Colorado Department of Corrections, they would not have let him have photos of his victims in his cell. Prisoners in Colorado are very limited to the photographs that they can keep, and they certainly are not going to be able to keep them of their victims. So I'm not exactly sure what happened in Wisconsin that, he was able to get those pictures, who sent them, and how. and if he brought them from Colorado in his personal property. It should not have happened at all where he should have had those photographs. Now, it's a little weird, okay? It's a little weird, in my opinion, that he is allowed to do that, or that he even wants it, okay? I had a client once who killed his wife, and at sentencing, there were photographs put together to show to the judge, and my client wanted that to take with him. And my first thought was, well, they're not going to let you do that. I can't let you have anything here today because they'll collect it. You can't do it. He's like, well, will you mail them to me? And I'm not going to send anything in the mail to a client that's going to get me in trouble. So we ultimately did not do that. But I think it's just a little odd that someone who has killed somebody wants a picture of their victim, okay? It's just not normal. It's a little creepy. It's more than a little creepy. It's absolutely just kind of gross. And I'm not sure. I mean, this Chris Watts guy, the more I think about it, I just don't know. Obviously, if I was his attorney, I would have done everything I could to defend the guy. But nothing this guy does really makes sense. I'm really not sure that he gets what he did. I don't think it's really sunk in. He can say in his statement to the police that he's now found God, and that he's going to try to change the world and make the world a better place based upon what he has learned. But it's just there's something not right there, and I don't mean like he's crazy. I just think he's. It comes down to kind of just a narcissist that, okay. This is my family. I wanted to dispose of my family so I could be with my girlfriend, Miss Kessinger, because she, rocked my world, and I didn't want the responsibility of being a husband and a father and do all that. But since she's gone and I've got nobody else, I guess I'll go back to what I didn't want or what I destroyed, the people that I killed, and then to have those photos in there, it's just weird. Anyway, so that's our intro for today. That's one of the stories we'd like to talk about. And for those that are chatting here on the live, we've set it up so that we can see it a little better as well. And please leave a comment, like the page, hit that little bell if you want to be notified of future live or new content going on. We appreciate that. Tell your friends, ask them to subscribe and take a look at that at the page, because we really do appreciate it. If you have a question or a comment about Chris Watts, please feel free to do that. If you do that little super chat little button, it highlights it here on my screen, and it's much easier to see. Let's see, B. Diddy, he's protecting someone. That is what a lot of people have thought. So, B. Diddy, thanks for your comment. A lot of people that follow this channel, I know other channels as well, obviously believe that Nicole Kessinger may have had something to do with it, or at least setting things in motion. It's very unclear. There are obviously some inconsistencies in her story that she made to the police versus the information why do you say we when you mean I? Well, we when we're talking in the general sense, but a lot of people believe that Miss Kessinger had something to do with it, maybe persuaded him, did something along those lines. Some people think maybe she was there, maybe she wasn't, but there's nothing that amounts to probable cause for an arrest, at least not at this point. But for someone to be guilty of accessory or complicity, conspiracy to murder, there's no statute of limitations on anything like that. So if something changes. Now, I'm not saying that Ms. Kessinger did anything or not. Frankly, there's not anything that we can say that is going to get her charged. But at this point, we do know that her initial statements that she made to the police are not consistent with what was in the text messages, her cell phone search, and things like that. Now, are these just honest mistakes? Was she nervous? Was she worried about it? Who knows for sure? Or was she just trying to lie? Now, there is a crime called attempting to influence a public official. Basically, that somebody says something with the intent to basically lead the detectives off on a different scenario. Little tougher to prove here in Colorado. Obviously, if it was a federal case, which it is not, people hear about lying to police officers or lying to federal agents all the time. If you look, for example, in the collusion investigation that was going on, most of the people didn't get in trouble for doing anything criminally wrong, but they lied to the police or the FBI when they were asked a question. And it could be something as simple as possible as, were you here on this particular day? And you say, gee, I don't think so. I don't recall. I don't know. But if you're emphatic, that's lying, and you're charged with it. Martha Stewart, years ago, she was investigated for insider trading. She didn't go to prison for insider trading. She went down for lying to federal agents. Melanie, let's see. What do you think happened to Nicole K now, and do you think she's lost her job or quit and moved? My understanding is she is no longer working for Anadarko Petroleum, which was and she was a contractor there. My understanding is, and we've tried to locate her, and I know some people have made a couple of episodes on other channels of saying that they had found her, but no one's provided any proof. There's information or rumors that she may be in Oregon somewhere. She could be in the same place as she was before. So no one really knows for sure. I have an investigator that I work with quite a bit. He's trying to dig up some stuff to see if we can find it, but so far as of nothing yet. Let's see, Faith, do you think the Watts house will be demolished and not purchased? No, somebody will buy it. It was just delayed for lenders' issues. Plunder Media, yes, she was fired. That was my understanding. Who wants that kind of baggage at your business, the sideshow circus that would go along with it? And I don't know if anybody saw that, but the company that she was working for, Anadarko, just got bought by Chevron for like $33 billion. So she's just stuck around and been an employee. She could have maybe cashed out on that. Do you think this change petition would change anything with Chris Watts having their photos? I'm not sure the petition would. My thinking is, like I said, I don't know exactly the way Wisconsin Department of Correction rules are. I'm telling you what I know in Colorado, but he's a Colorado prisoner. My guess is that those photos have been removed from his cell by now, and that is simply, it should be a no-brainer. It should be a non-issue. I just can't imagine, it just shows you that this guy is not the smartest guy in the world. If it had been a violation of the rules, or even it was, he thought he was talking to these detectives like their old college buddies and just kind of telling them nonchalantly what happened and, hadn't seen you in a while type of thing. And then he says, yeah, I talk to them. I look at their pictures every night. I doubt he never had a copy of the discovery. Is what he represents, and I'm sure the public defenders representing his case were not going to give him a copy of the discovery because someone could have access to it in the prison, and then they can read it and all those type of things. So somebody either probably mailed them to him, and probably when it went through the mail, nobody knew what it was or who it was and didn't associate with it. But I'm sure that Wisconsin or somebody from Colorado has contacted Wisconsin and said, hey, this guy shouldn't have pictures of his children there. And like I said when we first started this, that's just weird. That's just creepy that anybody, thank you, Kimberly Redmond, for the super chat there. It's just creepy that anyone would want a copy of their victims. Let's see, Marcy Crypto, is that a $200? Oh, cryptocurrency. Oh, cryptocurrency, 200. Okay, well, I didn't know what that. I just saw that going by. Like, wow. Let's see here. Okay, Cindy sent the pics. Yeah, we don't know who sent the pics. If mom did that or what. But I can't imagine, that mom would send those because everything we know is that is, there's just nothing there, I guess. Is the civil suit going on? Yes, the civil suit has not been going on. We'll double check that because last time the prosecution or the plaintiffs in that case were given an order to show cause as to why the case shouldn't be dismissed because no answer was filed, so they had to do something. There was going to be a default. But as of right now, there's been nothing that's taken place in there. So we'll follow up on that as well and let you know probably on Monday. Let's see. Bacall, Bacall, do you believe he killed the children at the job site? That is one of those questions that we just don't know. He states that he killed the children at the job site after he carried, mom down the stairs, put her in the car, and the kids were basically in the backseat talking. We will probably never know for sure. Do we take him at his word? Do we, have doubt about what he says? I have a lot of doubt as to what he says. Could that be something that was basically, fed to him later? There was a lot of theories out there that he was the one that, maybe killed the children first. Shanann comes home, finds them. No struggle, she dies. That type of thing. Or if we take him at his word that he killed the children, Belle and Celeste, out at the job site, I just think that makes him out to be even kind of a more heinous person if you think about that. It's one thing, okay, you kill your wife, okay? And I'm not condoning that in any way. That is wrong. Nobody should be doing that. But then to put your kids there in the same car with your dead wife basically in the back seat of the truck, and the kids are there, and then to think about it, talk about after deliberation, you're driving there, and you take your kids and you suffocate them and kill them, and then dump their little bodies into that tank battery and shove them in there. That doesn't bode well for him. If that's the story he wants to stick with, frankly, I think that's even worse. That it wasn't even some sort of heat of passion thing at the house. He freaked, he panicked, or anything along those lines. He drove an hour. He could have stopped. He could have pulled over. He could have driven to the police department to do anything to save those kids. And he didn't do it. That shows you this person has no heart whatsoever. That's what it boils down to. That is just cold, okay? Even if you don't like your wife, you don't kill them. But your children, for God's sake, as a parent, you have one job in life, and that's to protect your children. That is to protect the children. Let's see here. DA confirmed that one of the shadows was his kid. Let's see, I haven't seen anything from the DA's office saying that the shadows were in fact children at all. But if somebody has a link to that, I'll be more than happy to take a look at that because I haven't seen that. Let's see here. What else is going on? Thank you. Won't buy so fast. Sorry, let me see if I can go back there. This channel has good content. Thank you. Yeah, let's see here. Give him the autopsy photos. Yeah, that's if he wants those in his cell. Maybe he can see and appreciate what he has done. And we read the autopsy, not all of it. We tried to be somewhat judicious in what we were reading, so as not to be too offensive and alarming. But obviously, Shanann was in the shallow grave near the tank battery, but the children were put in those oil tanks, which had crude oil in them, and they'd been in there for a couple of days. And by the time even the rescue workers had drained the tanks, literally had to unbolt the side and or cut into the side of the tank, and once the oil had been drained, the crude oil had been pumped out into trucks. The children, because of the oil and the decomposition, is that when they grabbed the children, not to be too graphic, but their skin would literally pull away. Um, I mean, that's the kind of thing that watch should see. And when you listen to his jailhouse interview up in Wisconsin, which we have on our website here on our channel, he says he never saw those pictures. He said he never wanted to see those pictures. Well, hey, you did it. You should be allowed, be forced to see it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he didn't go to trial, was because he didn't want to see those pictures. He didn't want to have to look at that and see what he actually did. Because maybe the fact that he's still talking to his kids in his pictures at night comes to the realization he's not come to grips with actually what he has done. Yeah, they're not there, but it's for him. It may be just like they just went back to North Carolina for a couple of weeks. And this is just kind of things going on. I just don't think that he's truly appreciates what he has done. And like I said, to children, I've done lots of child abuse and child abuse resulting in death cases over the years. And one of the things that's just all throughout nature is simply the mother and the father protect their young. It's just simply what is done. And for somebody to not do that, there's been examples of mothers that will literally put their own lives out there for that of their children, and for somebody to kill their own children is absolutely it's the worst. All right, let's see some of the other. B. Diddy, hang those pictures in his cell. Like I said, that would be. Let's see, approve Mr. Rice so much. Let's see. Scott, he's on his own plane, and he didn't want to tell the truth. Let's see here. Let's see. Sometimes these go by so fast, it's hard to read them, because that's good that there's people super chatting. So, speaking of other child abuse cases, there a case we came across the other day, and there was a verdict. I think it was actually Thursday. It's in Ohio, and a babysitter by the name of Lindsay Parton was found guilty of all counts Friday of murder of a 3-year-old named Hannah that she was babysitting. Murder, involuntary manslaughter, and child endangerment. And the babysitter basically tried to claim that the father was the one that did it, but the people simply were not buying it. And that's kind of the thing when it comes to any kind of child abuse case or anything, is who was the last person with the children. And particularly in child abuse cases, you have to see, it's usually going to be the person that was last with them, or they were last with them and then something happened basically after they left, but the children were acting strange or indifferent, and usually because there was some sort of brain damage or injury or something along those lines. Let's see here. Would you have defended him given the chance? Pia, referring to Chris Watts. If I had been retained, I would have defended the client regardless of my personal feelings, because that's what we do. We are defending the client's rights, not necessarily the individual. As a defense attorney, we, are not approving of what the client did or may not have done. It's simply protecting their rights to make sure that we protect them. Because as a defense attorney, and I truly believe this, we are the ones defending the Constitution. We're protecting the rights. And if we let the government railroad guilty people, the government will start doing it to innocent people as well. All right? And even if with a confession, I mean, if Chris Watts wanted his day in court, he'd be absolutely entitled to that. So Alexander H., as a defendant's lawyer, how can you defend these monsters? Well, like I said, we're defending the Constitution. We're not approving of what somebody did or didn't do. but we're protecting their rights. And guess what? Sometimes they're guilty of maybe something else, not what the government said they were. So that's just the way it is. Yep. What was the question on that one? Sorry, I went by. Sorry, I'm trying to read here. Does it say? Okay. Oh, just Scott, what's your view on people who are publicly victim shaming Shanann? Well, Jay is for justice there, and I believe Jay has his own channel. You know, I'm all about facts and the truth. And sometimes the truth and the facts may not be pleasant, and people do not want to hear them. Now, to the deceased, should they be given some respect? Absolutely. In this particular case, though, she is clearly the victim of being murdered, and Watts has confessed to it. And he says he killed her. It wasn't because she did anything in particular. It's not like she came at him with a knife. There's nothing along those lines. People should pay some respect. If the facts are, these are the facts, and that's the truth, and it can be verified, that's a fact. That's what you do in cross-examination in a case. But when it's just pure speculation, that's not appropriate. That's speculation, okay? Like I said, one of the reasons why we started this channel is we wanted to make sure that, okay, I'm sorry, Jay is a female, sorry about that, is we wanted to make sure that we give the facts and not a whole bunch of hype and speculation, maybe explain how things work and how they're not supposed to work. But, you know, there's a thing in court is you don't get to speculate about what happened. It has to be based on the facts. And yes, you can argue for reasonable inferences drawn from the evidence in, for example, in closing argument. You can argue if you're cross-examining a witness as to what is taking place or what took place, or the absence of something is also a fact. But to just, you know, pure speculation that, you know, what you think or some almost kind of crazy theory, that's speculation. It wouldn't be allowed in a court of law. And frankly, if it's good journalism or good press coverage, those things shouldn't be thrown out there either way unless you have something to back it up with. So that's just my thoughts on that. Let's see here. Quick question. Do you believe he murdered Shanann impulsively, or was it premeditated? Well, I've been asked this question several times, all right? Was it impulsive? Okay. Impulsive, like a heat of passion type of thing. The classic heat of passion is wife comes home, she finds husband in bed with another woman, and she shoots him. You can say that the something was so, it was, yes, they thought about it, it was after deliverance, but it caused such a stir in someone's head, okay? Now, when you listen to Chris Watts' story, okay, he says that he basically, you know, he says he has sex with Shanann when she comes home early that morning. He goes downstairs, packs his lunch, comes upstairs, gets on top of her, and then basically starts to strangle her. Well, whether he was thinking about it, okay, you can think of lots of bad things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're planning it. Like, oh, I hope, you know, her brakes give out as she's coming down the mountains and she dies. Okay, that's not a crime. Okay, it's bad thoughts, not going to make you a great person, but it doesn't mean that you actually are premeditating it. And what I've tried to explain before is you can premeditate something instantaneously, okay? After deliberation is that's all they have to prove, okay? It doesn't mean they have to show, the prosecution doesn't have to show that you planned it 6 months in advance, okay? There is even if he thought about it, okay, there is certainly evidence to suggest that it was more than just a coincidence that he agreed to go to that tank battery site that morning, because he knew no one was going to be out there, and that's why he was going to take the bodies out there, and that was part of a plan. Or he could just be like, you know what, I'm making my lunch in the morning, making my peanut butter and jelly, and she, I've just had enough of her. I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to kill her. Okay. When he gets on top of her and he starts strangling her and he doesn't let go, and we've talked about this, someone could pass out from strangulation from 20 to 30 seconds, but to actually kill somebody, realistically, you're looking at 3 to 5 minutes. That is after deliberation. Okay. It doesn't matter if you planned it before or after. We've talked about this. As you are driving towards a stoplight and you're heading towards that intersection, and as you're rapidly approaching that, you see that the light turns yellow. And in that split second, you look to the intersection. Is it safe to go forward? Is it safe enough to stop? Is somebody going to rear end me? Okay. But you make that decision instantaneous like that. But you did it after deliberation. Okay. So whether he was thinking about it, whether he was planning it, or whatever, he decided to do it. It was premeditated in the sense that he didn't stop for 3 to 5 minutes when he's choking her. That is premeditation. That is after deliberation. He could have stopped, okay? And he didn't. So whether he wanted to just, he thought about it. Frankly, if you look at what was cleaned up afterwards, so to speak, or not cleaned up, her purse was remaining. The suitcase was downstairs. He didn't know about her appointments. Everything was there. Her phone was there. It made no sense in the sense that he had planned this out for months. If he'd planned it all out for months, he'd be thinking, okay, well, she's coming home from her trip. We should probably make it look like she never came home or that she left. Let's pack a suitcase. Let's make the suitcase missing so it looks like she's going to be gone. Okay? So I guess the question is whether he thought about it and maybe he just finally did it. He did it premeditated, and that's all they had to show in the offense. They don't have to show that he planned it 3-6 months in advance. He may have thought for months, man, my life would be so much better if I could just simply start anew. It'd be so much easier if my wife wasn't here. And that's what we're talking about. So it doesn't matter. But the reality of it is he confessed to killing his wife, unborn child, and his 2 daughters after deliberation, each and every one of them. And it doesn't make him a better person if he planned it out or if he just walked upstairs after making his sandwich for work in the morning and went up there and strangled her. Either way, this is a person that killed basically 4 people and then went about his merry way. That is not a normal psyche type of person, all right? This is the type of person of someone that has no conscience. And he tried to get away with it. And frankly, he just doesn't come across as smart enough to have planned it out. Like I said, I know people thinking, oh, he did it for weeks, he did it for months. He may have been thinking about it. He may have been thinking, man, I can go be with Nicole Kessinger for the rest of my life. This woman is rocking my world. This is the best sex I've had in years. She'll do everything I want. And for whatever reason, there's that one moment that he says, you know what? I'm done. This is over. We're going to do this thing. And it doesn't really matter. Like I said, if he's been thinking about it, the fact of the matter is when he says, according to her or his own statement, when he gets on top of her and starts choking her, that's it. All right? It's premeditated. So probably went too long on that, but I just want to make sure that that's clear. You don't have to show that somebody planned something out for it to be premeditated. It can happen literally instantaneously. All you have to do is think about it and say, I'm going to do this, all right? It's not like you accidentally dropped the gun and somebody got shot by the bullet that went across the room, okay? We're talking, I'm climbing on top of her, I'm putting my hands around her neck, I'm strangling her. This is the mother of your children, the mother of your children, and you are strangling her. That is premeditation, ladies and gentlemen. He did it, okay? All right, let's take a look at this. Shanann's friend messed it up. Bella Veritas. Absolutely. and I think Shanann's friend Nicole, the friend that had dropped her off, was concerned about it, did the welfare check. Yes, she threw a kink in the whole problem because in the whole situation because he didn't give, like I said, it wasn't planned out in the sense of, oh, I need to go grab her suitcase so it looks like she's gone. He's thinking, oh, I'll take her ring off and leave it on the nightstand. But who leaves without a cell phone these days, ladies and gentlemen? Who leaves without their medication? Who leaves without some personal items? Who leaves without taking the kids' car seat? Who leaves without taking kids' clothes? You saw the photos that we've put up, and they're out there as it relates to Shanann's closet. She likes her clothes. She likes her shoes. Nobody leaves without taking any of those items, okay? Even if his story was, oh, we were having problems and she was going to leave, it just makes no sense. And when you look at those body cam videos, and we're going to put the rest of those body cam videos up, I realize we have all those and we haven't put those up. It's obvious from the very beginning, from the patrol officer ultimately through the detectives, they didn't buy his scenario from the beginning, okay? It just simply, it didn't make sense. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that there was foul play early on in this particular case. No mom, and whether you liked Shanann or not, you thought she was overbearing, anything along those lines, she was a planner. We've shown the photographs of the house. Other than the office, I mean, everything is organized, meticulous. Nobody like that just leaves unless maybe they get conked on the head and wander out with amnesia or something along those lines. But that's just simply not a plausible scenario. But that's simply the way it was. So, all right. So we've gone on about that. Let's take a couple more questions here. Scott, do you have any children? Yes, I have two. My son is a pilot in the Air Force, and my daughter is attending graduate school at Vanderbilt University. Let's see. NK wasn't investigated because she had not killed Shanann. Yes, the police treated her as a witness. Okay. One of the things that bugs me is that the DA's released some 1,600 pages of discovery, and we have those 1,600 pages of discovery on our webpage at scottreich.com. Okay, not the YouTube channel, but the website, scottreich.com. You can read all the 1,600 pages of reports that were written, and there's some really good narratives in there by the detectives, really good synopsis. I think there's one about page 862 that's really, really good. But from the time that Watts pled guilty, there was still investigation, lab reports, things like that going on. And a lot of those reports, well, none of them have been released since then. We've asked, we've requested it, and they said that no more would be made available. I still believe that I can get those. We have to go to litigation. Kelly Green, do you have your own plane? Yes, I have my own plane. I fly my own plane. Although when I was in trial last month in March, we were flying out, heading over the mountains. We had an issue, which was really disappointing because it was over the mountains, and literally we lost manifold pressure. It turns out we lost a turbocharger, and although we didn't lose power completely for a moment, my young associate in the co-pilot seat was a little nervous. But we made it back safely to the airport, and I have yet to receive a bill for that, but I'm sure it's going to be expensive. Let's see here. Let's see questions here. Chris thought he could send posts and messages from her phone, and I think it's so funny he didn't know her passcode. Well, that's probably because he wasn't paying much attention to Shanann. He was paying more attention to Nicole Kessinger. Scott, do you think they are still investigating Nicole Kessinger? My answer to that would be possibly. All right, spoken like a true lawyer, possibly. The district attorney's office, they're not immune to public criticism. They are not immune to looking what people say and why are people not looking into Nicole Kessinger given her inconsistencies that have been released from her audio recording interviews to what was in the phone and the data. The fact that she deleted all of these photos, or I'm sorry, the fact that the further phone dump information hasn't been released, I think that she could possibly still be being looked at. It's just a question of whether they have enough information. Let's see. Bella Michelle, Jersey girl. Can Chris Watts have pics of his family in his cell? We talked about this earlier. My experience is that Chris Watts should not have photos of his victims in his cell. Okay? Can prisoners usually have a photo of somebody in their family? Yes. They can put it up on their wall, keep it in their personal papers. But I have never been aware of a circumstance where a defendant, a prisoner, can have pictures of his victims. And we talked about this earlier. That's just weird. It's creepy. I'm not sure how he got them. I'm sure somebody in Wisconsin didn't know that those were his victims since he was being sent up there. Probably nobody knew anything about it and just thought it was a family photograph, not realizing exactly what it was. So I think that those photos are now gone. I know there's the petition that was out there. And like I said earlier, the petition was something that I actually received an email or some sort of message about whether it was fruitful. I don't think normally petitions make much difference, but in this particular case, they did make a difference because at least it made it to the headlines. And I'm sure that if Chris Watts had those photos, that he does not have them anymore. All right. So, hey, quick recap. This is Scott Reich, Crime Talk. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Please hit that little bell so that you get notification of when we're going to go live or new content's coming out. The goal is to have new content come out almost on a daily basis. So we appreciate that. If you like it, share it with your friends, anything along those lines. Take a look at a couple more comments here for a few more minutes, and then we'll be ending it here shortly. Patrick Frazee update, please. So Mr. Frazee appeared in court, I believe it's now 2 weeks ago from Friday. Was set for an arraignment. That's where they would enter a plea of not guilty, set the matter down for a motions hearing to decide legal issues, and ultimately set a trial date. The defense moved for a continuance, and that was granted. Thank you, Karen, for that super chat. I personally think, why would you continue the arraignment? Set the matter for motions and trial, and start that speedy trial clock kicking and get the government, their case moving forward. Now, obviously, I don't have all the information that the defense has, so I'm not going to second guess them. I'm just saying my theory is I like to keep moving forward on those type of cases and give it out. Team Phoenix, thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting. Let's see. Can Nicole write? I'm assuming it's acting supposed to be Nicole Kessinger. Can she write a book? Yes, she could write a book. She could write a book about anything she wanted. Thank you, Grace. Thank you for liking the channel. Let's see. Why did you ultimately decide to start this channel? Lisa B. Well, I started and wanted to talk about crime issues because it was frustrating to me to see what took place on the news where people that had no experience related to the law were basically wrong, getting it wrong. The news reporter would say that it was at a preliminary hearing or an arraignment. They didn't know the difference between the two of them. So I thought that this could be an opportunity for me to, thank you, Karen, for the super chat, but also for the opportunity for us to explain it more than the brief 2 minutes that come on the evening news at night, to talk about procedure in the criminal system. Strategy of what the prosecution may do and what the defense may do as well. It's it's interesting. Some days this is what I do for a living, but I always get asked by people to find out what I do. Cocktail parties, wherever. Oh, you do this. Oh, you must have some stories. Yes, and obviously I'd share as much as I can as that's not limited by ethical reasons, but we can certainly give those examples and things like that in a general nature as to cases that are going on, whether it's local or national media. It's just like I said, most of these people that are commenting on it, they've been to journalism school. They haven't been to law school. They don't really know the difference. They don't know what it means, why it means, what it really means at the end of the day. And so that's what we're here. Originally, we wanted to call this channel voir dire, and that's a French word that means to speak the truth. And we use that in jury selection, to speak the truth. But Crime Talk is a little easier to remember and rolls off the tongue better. And so we'll do that. Betty, thank you all the way from South Wales. Thank you, Teresa, Kathy, for watching. Let's see here. Yeah, please like the channel. Please hit thumbs up, and we will continue to answer your questions. Leave a comment as well. As I told you, we're going to start a new series, basically Ask Scott, whether we do that throughout the week or a live session. Try to answer any questions that you have about maybe cases I've handled, cases that we're handling now, if we can talk about those, as well as legal issues or even personal, if it's not too personal. We'll try to answer those as well. So I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you for watching Crime Talk. Thank you for watching Crime Talk today in our live session. We will do this more often. Please like the channel. Please hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate that. Please hit the little notification so that when we do go live, you'll get notification about that. Kimberly Redmond, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I really do. And like I said, we have scottreich.com, the website. There's links as well as, like I said, all the Chris Watts discovery. We'll be getting up all those body cam videos as well. For some reason, I just thought we had done that, but we're going to get those up, kind of a chronological thing, and you can see how quickly the story crumbles on Chris Watts if you haven't watched those already. We will get those up. So we're going to shut it down here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate it. This would not be possible without you, and thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time on Crime Talk. Thanks for the super chats.